we've got to decide, we've got to go back with something more tangible in our marketplace. Now, and to our staff and our customers. Now, Paul was just talking a few minutes ago about what you would be able to do is demonstrate leadership. The first thing to do is look for opportunity. That thought process, that kind of emotional awareness, I initially went through it myself, thinking, goodness me, shock, what's happening? What does this mean to me? What does this mean to my family? What does this mean to my clients? What does this mean to the marketplace that I serve? So I quickly flipped it from that awareness of, goodness, I'm a little bit hacked off about this, to, okay, I need to do something about this. So my brain over the time has been used to thinking, where's the opportunity? Let's look for the opportunity. In every single market scenario, in economic stage of economic cycle, in each geographical area and each sector within the industry or industries, there's always a business that will outperform the market. It's a choice. It's a choice to be that business. So while everybody else is tranced out by observing this endless flow of media that's populating or polluting our brain and using our available bandwidth, we can actually grab market share. We can see opportunities for maybe new strategic relationships where somebody is looking for a lead. Somebody in terms of your customer base, your suppliers, your staff, your key sort of introducers, your key strategic partners, they're looking for leadership. At the moment in time when an organization, UK PLC, is pretty much leaderless, there's nobody at the helm at the moment, really, we've got to be able to step up. But in order to be able to do that, we've got to genuinely, not just, hey, let's believe it's all going to be great, we've actually got to have some substance and some depth. So what could be some of the potential benefits? Well, before I go into those potential benefits, just let me just share with you very quickly just some of the trends that are going on at the moment. We're in a period of really exciting time, exponential development in terms of technology, in terms of capability and potential for growth. We're seeing a massive rise in virtual reality and augmented reality. I went to a workshop on Monday night delivered by a fantastic thought leader, a guy called Roger Hamilton, and he just showed a video of Microsoft's HoloLens being demonstrated. And it just showed, if you could imagine a Skype call, but the other person at the other end enters into your physical sort of, it has a virtual reality that, there's a projection on your on the lens that you put on, so it's as if they're in the room in that physical space in front of you. Their image is projected in that physical space in front of you. Really quite amazing. So the rise of virtual reality, augmented reality, the improvement of technologies like Siri and equivalents by other tech companies is phenomenal. 3D printing has really hit its stride. They are developing 3D printing now. That actually will able, Elon Musk, for example, an advocate, he sees 3D printing has been a key area of being able to his mission to colonize Mars, because in order for it to work, they're going to have to 3D print the whole infrastructure in order to sustain life up there. Audi, for example, they're working on, they've responded to one opportunity to build the Mars kind of rover vehicle, and the way that they will do it, they will 3D print the wheels and every element of that building. So that vehicle, sorry. So 3D printing is really taking its stride. There's going to be, out of necessity, more and more entrepreneurs starting up. But what we've seen over recent times is where large companies, governments have not been able to respond to the needs. The entrepreneurial startup with the hunger, the smarts, the intelligence, the drive, the commitment, the determination, they've actually addressed some really massive problems that much larger companies have not been able to address and achieve. You just have to just take one guy, quite a spectacular guy, but Elon Musk, what he's done in terms of revolutionized the space industry, in terms of bringing down the cost to transport satellites to space, for example. The electric car industry, the electric the power generation industry, in terms of the battery storage and the generation of that from Solar City in terms of the solar panels. These are examples of what one guy alone has done, but the entrepreneurial startup is achieving some amazing things through technology very, very quickly. And the point I just made reference to, that there will be some people that will have to necessity need to start up as entrepreneurs over the next 5 years in the UK, but that presents more opportunity. Global internet traffic is expected to increase threefold over the next 5 years. And that's at kind of at two levels. One, the number of people coming online is going to increase. And secondly, the amount of traffic that's going to be video-based traffic is ever on the increase. A massive increase, and doubling the amount of kind of internet TV usage over just 2015 alone. By 2020, the smartphone is going to be the key device used way above the sort of desktop for people to access the internet. And IP traffic is growing at its quickest in the Middle East, sorry about the typo, and in Africa, and then in Asia Pacific. Well, this presents new people, new communities, new opportunities that are coming online that we could trade with. The world is opening up at a very fast rate. Let's bring it closer to home and say, as well as those technology shifts and trends, what else is there are some opportunities that we might have from Brexit? Well, for some time now, UK GDP, gross domestic product, has been growing at a higher rate than the EU. UK has been something in the region of 5%, and the EU something in the region of 1.4%. There are other countries that are higher growth countries in terms of economic growth than the EU in the world that would want to trade with the UK, and that UK would want to trade with. And no longer would we have to go through the restrictions of EU trade deals. The percentage of trade that we've done as in the UK with the EU compared to the rest of the world has dropped as we've traded more and more with other parts of the world. So in terms of where the action is, in terms of the growth economies, there's a huge amount of trade and opportunity in areas and countries, the BRIC nations for a start, Brazil, Russia, India and China, i.e. outside of the EU. That we will have our own opportunity to agree our own trade agreements. Clearly, there's a huge amount of work for the civil service to be able to do that. And it was interesting to note that that New Zealand has offered to second some of its own trade negotiators to to British civil service in order to be able to help Britain renegotiate or negotiate its own trade agreements. But we could actually find ourselves in a position with trade deals that are more beneficial to the UK than previously would have been. Let's talk about a drop yet further in interest rates. But actually, if you've got debt in sterling and say, for example, you've got income from other sources in other areas of the globe, and therefore you've got revenue in other currencies, cost of debt in the UK is, because of the drop in sterling, has effectively taken a discount. The pound, if you owed £1 million, and you have got income coming from elsewhere in the world, that £1 million of debt, it has taken that discount by the virtue of the shift in the valuation of the pound. But it also has meant that UK exports will now cost less in the eyes of the person importing those and buying those. So costs if residing in the UK will be relatively less. I think one of the things that we may therefore see is a revitalisation, depending on how long the pound stays at a relatively lower rate, a revitalisation of the UK manufacturing sector. That would be interesting. We've had for some time a very vibrant financial market sector, a services sector. We've been known for having a very, very capable nation in terms of engineering prowess and capability. But we just have to look at the success what Jaguar Land Rover have done in terms of their brand, their profit margins, their innovations, but importantly in terms of manufacturing in the UK. And there could be cracking opportunities for the revitalisation of the UK manufacturing sector, and therefore it's a supply chain, a massive supply chain that will support that brings more opportunities. The common, agriculture, potentially, in terms of we don't know what the UK government will give to UK farmers by way of subsidies. But for goods that we import, food goods that we import, we may be able to buy from more efficient producers elsewhere in the world without the restriction of common agricultural policy. So we could have the prospect of lower grocery bills as a result of it. But for me, the whole piece around this is that necessity is the mother of invention. So rather than wallow around at the bottom of that change curve in that place of resignation, we've got an opportunity to look for how we've got an obligation, actually, to look for the opportunity around this. So whilst other people may well be a little confused or lost or perplexed, What is it they need? And this is a fascinating conversation I had with the corporate banking team in HSBC yesterday. And what is it that your customers need? What is it that members in your team need? Actually, what is it you need? Well, you need certainty. You need actual certainty, and that certainty, Paul's already been giving you some input around that, starts with a decision. Do you know what? I'm going to make something from this. I am determined, no matter what, to find a way of turning the situation into a best opportunity for growth. Because when you go out there with that level of certainty and you show up in that way, that's going to be attractive, inherently attractive. Everybody needs a plan, a strategy. I'll come back to that in a moment. But it's no good to say, yeah, rah, rah, we believe it's possible. Let's put those rose-tinted glasses on if he's not got it backed by any substance of a plan. So now's a great opportunity to revisit your growth plans. Are there opportunities in the marketplace that you could take? We've already mentioned a couple of times about the idea of leadership. There is a vacuum at the moment. And too many people, in my opinion, are saying, oh, well, let's just wait and see. Well, though that isn't the attitude that that will deliver growth. Whilst there is a waiting and seeing, that you can grab market share, there may be some great acquisitions to be made. Because if people carry on waiting and seeing, businesses don't stay and plateau. They either grow or they die. So there could be some fantastic opportunities for that, for growth. And by the way, if you are growing your, you've got your strategy and looking for opportunities for growth, and you're going out there into the marketplace, and generating the returns on that, that opens up other doors, particularly if you're able to build your cash reserves, more about that in a few minutes, build your cash reserves, then if some businesses do sit back and wait and see, there could be some businesses that struggle, and therefore you could buy them relatively cheaply. But one thing you do need to do is bring with this the antithesis to what happens when people in that resignation stage of the change curve. That's passion and that's energy. So what specifically should you do? I mentioned about a plan and a strategy. As part of that, as kind of a sub-bullet to that, is go out there and look for opportunities. Keep asking yourself the question, where are the opportunities? What are other people not doing in these moments and these times that which is leaving an opportunity in the marketplace for me to do? I'm always fascinated about observing people, behavior, market behavior. Start looking around you. What is not being done? One of the little strategies you can do in order to look for new opportunities is look what your competition are doing and look what they are not doing. Now, it may well be that the fact that what they are doing, that's what the market needs. So that's your base level. You need to be doing what they're doing. But rather than just doing that little bit better, what is it that they're not doing that you could do? So look for opportunities in the marketplace. Increase your profile. Get out there in front of your customers, in front of your staff to start off with, in front of your team, because your team, as we've already said, need to know that your certainty, that you're excited about, and you have a plan. That's what real leadership's about. It's about demonstrating that plan, but you've got to then be able to articulate it, to be able to communicate it. If you've got, let's say, for example, you've got a key customer or a key prospective customer, or even a strategic partner that you've been courting for some time. If you go to them confidently with your plan and about how it could create a win-win for both parties, that is going to engender trust. People are looking out for that leader at the moment. Look to where you can increase the value that you offer, so that in your marketplace, that your business, your proposition becomes the go-to business in the marketplace. One of the best ways in which you can ensure continual flow of people coming back to you by way of your business for more trade and more, to trade with you more, is constantly innovating your product or your service and constantly looking about how can you deliver more? How can you deliver more value? Activity levels. And the people that have been on our W Business program, there's exact correlation between the amount of action and activity they put in and the results that they're getting out. Yes, you've got to do a lot of action in terms of priming the pump in the early stages, but the results come back tenfold, hundredfold. So it's really important that while everybody else is sitting back and doing nothing, you're out there chasing down opportunities, following up on leads, looking to innovate and improve your product, adding more value into the marketplace. Your marketing into that marketplace needs to be delivering more value-added content, information that will help your target market address the problems that they're facing and achieve the goals or the aspirations that they're looking for.